YouTube recommendations strike again with a great, magnificent title. Let's see it.
It would take Elle less than 5 minutes to solve the Epstein case.
Really?
And that's me being generous.
Really?
Let me break down exactly why, and more importantly, how. Spoiler alert, I'm also
really
going to bring up Light
actually.
Yagami, so you absolutely...
I mean, Elle is really smart because he figured out the rules of the Death Note, which is like completely mythical. Nobody would believe that, but yeah.
You need to watch till the end of the video.
And Epstein crimes are a little bit more physical, you know.
First, we'll power
More
scale
believable
Elle
to
to
real world.
understand the depth of his genius. You see, in the world of Death Note, the three greatest
Detectives,
detectives on Earth, Elle, Geraldo Coyle, and Deneuve, are actually all the same person. And this man has been at the top of the global investigation scene since he was only 8 years old, which is when
I didn't know he was actually that goated. Holy shit.
handily prevented World War III. Now, the public record says he solved over 3,500 difficult cases, but the real number is significantly higher because of those alternate identities. To give you an idea of the scale he operates on, Mello, one of his successors, once mentioned that Elle maintains at least triple-digit active codes for various detective personas. Still, if you want the one intelligence feat that's relevant here, it's this. Back when his rogue successor, Beyond Birthday, created a crossword puzzle so complex that an entire team of policemen gave up on it, and even the elite FBI agent Naomi Misora
He just easily solved it, right?
thought it was designed to be impossible. Elle solved it instantly. And Beyond Birthday is not a fraud. He is...
You know what? This making Light actually being able to beat him even more impressive, even though he used a lot of bullshit tactics nobody would be able to know about without actually having the Death Note, so you know.
The primary antagonist of the Los Angeles BB murder cases novel.
But he did a lot of stupid mistakes too.
He's genius enough to act as Elle's evil clone. When he tried convincing Naomi that he was actually Elle, he read a 376-page book in under 5 minutes and memorized every page perfectly. Now, if he's pulling off feats like that, and Elle is superior to him, you can imagine what Elle's photographic memory looks like. So when I say Elle can solve the Epstein case in 5 minutes, I'm not being hyperbolic.
I mean, yeah, if he reads all of the documents and then he has a photographic memory, he's gonna be able to remember all of that and actually put the points together. Yeah, that kind of makes sense, yeah.
If anything, I'm being conservative. This man processes in...
I'm not sure, I think it's gonna take him more than 5 minutes just to read the documents, you know, then he'll solve it almost instantly, yeah. If we're talking about that, if he has such a good memory, if he's actually that fucking goated, I didn't even know that. I knew he's smart, but...
information faster than entire government investigative bureaus combined. He can monitor dozens of computer screens simultaneously and absorb every data point perfectly.
Bro, at this point, he's not even fucking human, he's like a superhuman. What the fuck? Superman from the world of detectives, like even Sherlock Holmes would lick his feet, man.
And because he immediately understands every data point, he can weigh every probability in real time and calculate precise percentages in his head. But here's where it gets tricky. I'm sure that you can already tell that superhuman genius alone isn't enough to solve the Epstein problem. You see, Elle is a detective. Yes, he's the top one detective.
But he needs a lot of data to fill his mind to be able to get to conclusions, right? But he's probably gonna be able to like crack the, you know, the FBI databases, right, to get actually the original data.
But he's limited in what he can do. His whole thing is narrowing down suspects in closed systems. But how does that work with Epstein? The way Epstein operated has been well documented since at least 2005. The real problem was never a lack of evidence. It was that too many people in power were either compromised or complicit. Having said that, let's see how this actually plays out.
And because of that, all of them were interested in, you know, hiding this information, starting from Trump, you know, from Republicans to Democrats, basically, because everybody was complicit to some extent, yeah. It makes perfect sense, you know, if we're talking about Epstein files.
Here's 2005, March 2005 to be precise. A stepmother contacts the Palm Beach police because her 14-year-old stepdaughter came home with $300 in cash. When she asked the girl about
that's a little bit suspicious.
He ended up explaining the entire recruitment pipeline. Basically, a classmate had approached her at school and offered her money to give an older man a massage. The classmate drove her to a pink mansion at 358 El Brillo Way. Once in, Epstein entered wearing nothing but a towel.
Bro,
And I'll spare you the details.
What
but
a-
to
what
make
a- what a
long story
man.
short, she walked away with $300. Now, at
Dude,
first, this
that's
looks like a
weird.
case of a local rich pedo creep. Nothing
Yeah,
about it
that's
suggests you're
weird.
dealing with a man who has billion-dollar financial leverage, a global contract list, and 2 decades of cultivating relationships with presidents, royalty, and prosecutors. But by October 2005, Detective Rick Harry was interviewing
Wait, it actually was Epstein then?
victim after victim. And the pattern was identical every single time. Girls would get recruited by their friends. They'd be driven to the same mansion, asked to give a massage, but as you can expect, it would often escalate to God knows what, and then they'd get money. And here's the thing, once
Hopefully at least they're gonna be able to live that alive, you know, not to make some burgers for them, man, or whatever the fuck, you know. Yes, some of them seal the files.
a girl
you know,
was in,
what I'm
she
talking
was
about.
in. She'd be pressured to bring more girls, which is how the network just kept expanding. And
Basically, it's financial pyramids for pedo. You just made like fucking financial pyramid for girls to come to his house. Holy
Epstein
fuck!
was
what the
particular about them being young. So, okay, Rick Harry built his case
fuck? But is 18 young is already like spoiled meat too old for him, bro? Probably is, right? Considering his tastes.
methodically. He collected everything from property records proving Epstein owned the mansion, to flight logs showing travel between Palm Beach, New York.
There is just there are probably really too many data points from which L would be able to put all of them, you know, together and realize who that is actually.
Mexico, and Little St. James Island in the Caribbean, not to mention witness statements describing the
Epstein
same
Islands,
housekeeper, the same recruitment methods, the same cash payments. He documented everything. By May 2006, Detective Joseph Rickeri submitted a comprehensive probable cause affidavit to the Palm Beach County State Attorney's Office. It was the culmination of an 11-month investigation, and clearly had overwhelming evidence for
Still
direct
53 million of insurance companies bonds to buy stock.
charges. But rather than filing charges based on Rickeri's affidavit, State Attorney Barry Krischer took the case to a grand jury, and the grand jury returned a very limited indictment. And
Dude, I thought it was gonna be like a fucking meme video, but he's like actually going in depth with that. I feel like he just wanna be like a Sherlock Holmes himself, the guy who made the video,
as
bro.
we know, it ultimately led to the controversial
I
2008
didn't thought it's gonna go so on point and so far into it.
non-prosecution agreement. Now, why am I bringing all this up? To
Yeah,
show you
why?
just how much was known even back in
Prosecutors investigate allegations that Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused underage girls. And if he did like fucking... If he did like a financial pyramid for that shit, you know, the pyramid scheme, dude. There probably was a lot of them too.
2005. Plus, for this scenario, we're going to assume L gets a chance to look at Rickeri's affidavit in May 2006. We know the Death Note anime came out in October 2006, right? Well, even though the manga came out...
Coincidence? It also was in 2006 in the real world with the Epstein shit. What if Epstein founded the Death Note? Okay,
much
that's
earlier.
stupid,
For
but-
this scenario, let's just say that the main story of Death
Probably not.
Note took place between 2006 and 2007. So this would be a few months before
Why am I doing that, bro?
Light picks up the Death Note. And here is exactly how L solves it within
compromised,
5
man.
minutes. He goes through the affidavit, and immediately, within minutes, he solves the case. And I don't mean the way Rickeri did. No. L goes much deeper. He connects the dots and realizes instantly that Epstein's ring is global. He sees that it implicates a stupid number of powerful people. We're talking billionaires, government officials,
Makes
presidents,
sense.
royalty, and more. Plus,
Because it is that way in real life, so yeah, it makes sense.
L also
of
figures
course.
out that Epstein is systematically collecting blackmail material on all of these powerful figures for a specific country that just popped up in everyone's head. Now, I'm not going to get too deep into specific
Israel
names
again,
or the
bro.
countries involved to keep things straightforward
shit.
for the video, but basically, L realizes that by 2006, Epstein had already been operating for decades. Most importantly, he understands that Epstein currently holds more institutional power and protection than even he does. The #1 detective
That's
in
true.
the world.
But that's the problem. If he does, then what would you do about it? They probably would be able to just silence you and like fucking kill you now.
Naturally, this also confirms that the Department of Justice and the FBI he
That's a little
works
bit
as
of a
part
problem.
of are compromised. This is where it stops being a detective case. You see, in Death Note, L commands Interpol, Japanese National Police, FBI liaisons, and the Kira Task Force. He has institutional authority, but that also means he needs the system to actually work with him. Now that
That
same
is
system
true.
is
Like, what would you do if the institution is against you? Do you build your own private militia to try to fight it, or what, bro? You wouldn't be able able to win against the USA fucking army and shit.
Compromised and complicit. So if L
And
plays by
FBI.
the rules, he'll get nowhere, which is why he has no
True.
choice but to take matters into his own hands. When the director
So
of the
wait, what? How would it actually look like? Would he like beat FBI then, or what? What are we talking about?
FBI learns that L is looking into the files, L receives an invitation to Little St. James, the so-called
So he wants to get a blackmail on the L too, like, you know, here's the 12-year-old for you, bro. I have an action on that. Like,
Epstein
if you're not, I'm gonna kill you, by the way.
Island. By this point, Epstein has owned this island for 7 years. All right, what now? L is invited. And if you think that's stupid, and you're wondering why on earth Epstein would invite a potential threat like L to his private island,
Get potential blackmail now.
have to keep in mind who we're dealing with. This is the same guy who
Your friend Ellen told... But... what?
was revealing every bit of information about what he does over Gmail, while most of you out here are using VPNs just to pirate some anime.
Okay, I'm not even really using anime to pirate animes, bro. Of course, I would never pirate anime, by the way, if I were to do that, you know. But
And games. Yes, elites aren't
I mean, some of us use a VPN to like watch porn and shit, you know.
exactly high IQ.
That makes sense.
So once Epstein
Okay.
learns that the FBI's top detective is finally onto him, his first instinct is to simply invite the guy over. Of course, L knows exactly what the play is going to be, but he still goes ahead and accepts the invitation for 2 reasons. First, it's because even though he has a sense of morality and justice, his primary motivation is the desire to win, and because of
But really think about it, yeah, if you really get to the island, you would be able to witness some things yourself, maybe to see some further proof of your theory, of your investigation. So even if it's really dangerous, it's gonna probably put you towards the winning a little bit further.
that, he simply can't bring himself to back away from a challenge like
That's
this.
true.
Second, it's
That's
because he
true.
can tell exactly why Epstein would invite him in the first place. Now, from the looks of
Get
it, it's
blackmail?
Watari who makes the trip while carrying a laptop with L connected via voice chat. The second Watari steps off the helicopter, L starts cataloging everything. He notices right away that the staff
But
to
at least
guest
he's
ratio
smart.
is crazy.
Wait,
So
wait. At least he is smart not to get there personally. That's
there are
true.
dozens of employees just for a handful of visitors. He sees how every single sightline is controlled, how the security cameras monitor every guest, and how the entire environment is designed for observation and control. Epstein gives him the tour, and
Makes
then
sense.
eventually offers Watari a drink. He accepts a glass of water, and after a
So it's not even just how L would catch Epstein, but it's like the entire fucking fan fiction of the two universes, you know, real one and the Death Note one that come together.
observing the glass for a
That's
split
Loki
second
cinema.
through the screen, he takes a sip. They sit on the terrace, and at this point, Epstein just goes ahead and comes right out with what he's doing. He explains how he has the most powerful people in the world on camera.
Oh,
Everyone-
he's probably trying to scare him out to not actually dig into him because, like, I control the world, you just a little bitch investigator. Fuck you. Is that what he's trying to imply?
From presidents and royalty to prime ministers, bankers, and scientists. Epstein leans forward, and as L sees the void in his eyes, he reveals that what he and his backers are ultimately seeking is control. Then Epstein extends his hand toward the laptop and offers L a chance to become an equal partner. He wants to use L's brain to help him expand his network so that they can
I
eventually
thought he was gonna try to get into blackmail, but he tried to get into his empire. I mean, that actually makes even more sense than I thought. Okay.
gain control of the entire world together. L
Really think
remains
about it, you know, it's like all of those movies where the villain comes to the hero, you know, when the hero comes to the villain to actually challenge him, and then the villain is gonna be, bro, you are strong, join forces, we're gonna rule the world. You know how the fucking how the Darth Vader said to the Luke Skywalker to join him? That's basically the same shit. Like, exactly the same, and it kind of makes sense too, because he sees the really potential in L. And imagine if L would turn into W into an Epstein, bro. Oh, that would be like then Epstein would never die, or, you know, supposedly die. There's some small chance that he actually survived and went somewhere, you know.
completely calm
But
while
else,
he
probably
processes
not.
Epstein's specific phrasing and body language through the feed. He can tell that Epstein actually believes this, and that he truly wants to be the invisible hand moving civilization. He can also see that
Basically, what
Epstein is an
what is this picture? Okay, that's downright creepy. I think I never seen his photo like which is creepy as this picture.
afraid of him
bro.
at all. If anything, Epstein
Wow.
is actually excited by him. Now, Epstein was clearly expecting some kind of a big response here, but L stays completely quiet on the voice chat. Then what
L is like, nah, I'm good. Anyway, gonna head out. See ya.
Ari walks back to the table, picks up a few wrapped chocolates, and puts them in his pocket. He just says, "I'll take some for the flight if you don't mind." And with that, he asks a staff member to tell their helicopter pilot that they're ready to leave. The moment
Wait, for what? There's gonna be specific...
It is so absurd and so deliberately anticlimactic that Epstein doesn't even know how to respond. He expects a negotiation or a rejection, or maybe even an acceptance. But in all the decades he has operated, he had never experienced a complete dismissal like this. He thought that since...
You know, it kind of works with the bullies the best way too. Like, if you don't try to fight them back, or I mean, if you're stronger, you just fight them back, you just fucking punch them in the face and then they understand. But if you're not stronger than them, right? You don't find them back, you don't try to do anything, you just like, oh, it's just a little fly lying around, you know, it doesn't exist. I mean, I tried to do it with people like before, maybe not exactly bullies, but it's actually very effective because it's our human nature to expect a response. If you don't have any response, they go crazy. They're like, do I exist?
Elle already knew the truth.
It's actually very effective.
Just offer him a partnership, but this is how it went? Little did Epstein know that the reason Elle didn't respond at the end was because the voice chat was actually a recording. I mean, did I mention that the helicopter pilot is actually Elle himself? He wanted to physically observe...
Actually, it makes perfect sense from the L standpoint because he's like a fucking giga genius, mega mind 5D chess player. Actually, yeah.
The island with his own eyes.
That's smart.
So he tagged along disguised as the pilot. All the while, his voice recording kept Epstein occupied. Next, as the helicopter takes off...
And imagine how much he actually had information on Epstein if he was able to make this recording to have a perfect responses ready in mind for his potential responses, and this is how actually Epstein responded, exactly as he envisioned. That's fucking genius.
Elle looks down at the compound, shrinking below him. Okay, what now? If the FBI director is already compromised, and if Epstein's influence extends across multiple countries,
so what do you do?
How is Elle going to defeat him? It's a
private task force now, probably like that.
Problem, especially considering how the longer it takes, the more Epstein's influence is going to grow. Plus, you have to remember this is still 2006, which is well before what happened in 2008. Elle knows that he has to act right away, so he decides to go all in on the affidavit. He realizes he has to crack everything Epstein has built to neutralize that influence, and that includes making the truth mainstream as early as possible. In our world...
But what if the mainstream media are also compromised by the billionaires who are not in service of Epstein, but part of his like power circle? What then? But I mean, internet is never fully controlled anyway, so you know, it's gonna be one of the most potential things to do. Yeah,
it's taken until basically this year for the general public, especially in Western countries, to get a clear idea of what was really going on. But Elle needs to get it out within 20 hours, not 20 years.
Really?
He starts by looking into potential journalists who might already be onto Epstein. And while he's...
I mean, yeah, if a lot of journalists were bought, not everybody is like that, because there's a lot of like pure people who just want to do journalism, want to expose the truth to the world, no matter who is gonna be. You know, the people of honor, the people of but those people usually, like, sometimes they disappear, sometimes they die, you know, especially in like the oppressed countries.
Reading through the Miami Herald, he finds Julie K. Brown. She's already doing exactly what he needs. In reality, she's the one who eventually got the
God damn.
Former police chief and lead detective to talk publicly about how the case was sabotaged. And her series, Perversion of Justice, was what explained how Epstein secured that lenient plea deal in 2008. Okay, so Elle seeks her out immediately and shares everything he has learned with her. Now, Elle knows that journalists can only do so much. They publish, people read, and then what? Some victims might come forward, but many would be either too afraid or too deep into the system to go public. After all, Epstein reportedly used the phrase, "Those who help him will be compensated, and those who hurt him will be dealt with."
I mean, yeah, he has an immense power. You need to be extremely actually courageous to go against this guy as like a little man, because you could be fucking die. You can disappear or whatever the fuck. There's a lot of things that could actually happen to you. It doesn't mean it's gonna happen for sure, but it's a possibility, right? And nobody wanna deal with that. Nobody wanna fucking die because of the... Even if it happened to them, you know, they just wanna keep quiet and just forget about it. This is what usually victims are like, I feel like.
To intimidate witnesses into staying quiet. What
This is what I just wanted for this horrible situation to be over and just have a new life and just be chilling and like have nothing like that happen to them again.
L really needs is to
sense,
create
right?
an irreversible cascade of information that makes the truth impossible to contain. He begins gathering as much data as
Makes
possible
sense.
to build a web that includes all the records of flights on the Lolita Express, financial
What is this picture, bro? Oh my god.
donations, and public photos. He makes notes on which individuals
Wow.
were likely there for business, as in financial or political leverage, and which were there for pleasure. Then, for every compromised official like the FBI director, L identifies a clean counterpart or a political rival who would love nothing more than to see that person burn. This is obviously easier said than done,
Makes
and L
sense.
needs help from hundreds of people.
Enemy of my enemy is my friend, you know? Especially if not your direct enemy is just a bystander to you.
Like Reverie and Julie K. Brown, but once he has enough solid information
Makes
organized
sense.
into a digital web, he prepares to make it public through multiple channels. And here's where L's genius really shows itself. He knows that if he just dumps everything at once, the story would become too big too fast, and it'll be easier for the general
I kind of feel like that happened to the Epstein Files original too. Like they just dumped all of that, you know, with the censorship in it, right? With the black bars, and it kind of got a little bit too big because it was like fucking millions of fucking data at once.
public to dismiss it as a conspiracy. Plus, mainstream news outlets would get too many shutdown calls from their powerful friends. So L decided
Basically, you know how you need to do that? You know this Lego saga that was actually happening? You need to do it like that. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. And it's like you show part of it which is unhinged, then like Part 2 is even more unhinged, Part 3 is even more unhinged. You like basically make like a series of that, right? That's what I would have done if I was like L in that situation. No, I wouldn't really done that, and Russell didn't really want to die from the fucking Epstein, but you know.
something
He's braver than I
counterintuitive.
am.
When he's ready to release it, he intentionally leaves out the names of the most powerful people. The initial release focuses entirely on Epstein's trafficking and blackmailing ring, how it operates, how long it had been running, and how
Makes sense to make like a one enemy, right? So he's gonna remove all of the noise that all of the higher officials, because you know there's gonna be people who are gonna be caring about the Trump, who's gonna be people who care about Biden or whatever the fuck, right? About Clintons, and you know it's gonna just noise out is gonna like spread out the focus too much. If you focus on one guy, you make him like a main villain, then it's gonna be like an extremely good story. That's actually very smart, and then you can focus on like the most powerful politicians, maybe like a few, and then another patch, until everything is revealed, and basically one bite at a time. Makes sense.
girls were recruited
Smart.
at schools. The
Smart.
web mentions that powerful people were involved. It has to, just to explain the scale, but it doesn't name them. Again, this is to simply make sure that the initial wave of coverage focuses on the crime itself, rather than the politics of naming names. The media runs with it. Within 20 hours, the story stops being a local scandal and becomes global. And that's when L makes his second move. He sends anonymous emails to the rivals of every compromised official he's identified, and he sends them the full web. He just gives them the truth and trusts that enough of them, for enough different reasons, will act. Some will act because they have a moral compass. Some will act because they see a massive political advantage. And some will act
And of course, not every one of them is gonna act, but there's just, if there's enough of them act, then he's already achieved his goal.
simply because they're
Yeah.
terrified of being implicated themselves. But even after that,
true,
L
too.
is just getting started. The next step is going directly after the names on Epstein's list. L anonymously sends a highly sanitized, encrypted message to a select few of
So
the
basically part 2, what I was talking about.
most powerful people on that list. Specifically, the ones he deduced were only there for business leverage. Since they were there for business, it's easier for them to talk their way out of the truly messed up stuff.
Because they weren't really pedos, and you know, this fucked up people who actually ate people and like liked little girls or boys, you know, whatever the fuck.
So L's message to them is simple. Mr. Anonymous has all the blackmail material, and they have to cooperate now, or it's a declaration of war. This is how L creates absolute paranoia.
And then part 3, he absolutely destroys all of those fucking psychopaths, right? Ooh, that's gonna be
to
awesome.
fracture the network
if
from
that's
the
case.
inside. As much as L wants to destroy the system, he also wants to win his personal game against Epstein. And to do that, he
Makes
first
sense.
has to make Epstein a liability that the system he built can no longer afford to protect. Now remember how I mentioned that
Makes sense.
L is all 3 of the top 3 detectives in the world? That's not public information. To the public, the number 2 detective, Geraldo Coyle, and the number 3, Deneuve, are
Oh, he's gonna do it like several not actually affiliated people come to the same conclusion, that means it's legit because they're like the top detectives. Bro, just being basically fucking Palpatine moving the both sides, man. You know, it's kind of not exactly the good comparison, but it kind of feels like that a little bit.
Completely different people. It's a layer of anonymity that gives him 3 different lives to play with. Another thing to keep in mind is that the web L creates isn't omniscient. He doesn't have every single piece of evidence yet. He only has what he's seen or deduced. The real incriminating evidence only starts pouring in once the story becomes a global incident. Once because
everybody starts to looking into it, and there are some witnesses come forward like, oh, I've seen Epstein with this guy at the island, or I've seen Epstein with this guy. It's fucking like, what did he like a ranch or some shit? I forgot about what it was, you know. And oh, I actually was a victim of that. I'm gonna come forward, and there's gonna be a lot of victims, and there's gonna be more information coming in. And considering his incredible memory, considering his you know, incredible deduction skills, he's gonna be able to prove or disprove almost everything probably he actually deduced. And probably most of that is gonna be true, you know, because it's kind of like this guy is a little bit too open for whatever he fucking does.
Major news outlet is on it. The momentum moves faster than anyone can pay to make it stop. This is where L makes his move as Denev. He publicly announces that he was the one who leaked the web, and to protect himself, he reveals that he's created a dead man's switch. If he fails to check in once a day, a final unencrypted version of the entire Epstein network file will be automatically released to every major news outlet and law enforcement agency on the planet. He makes it clear to everyone who is complicit that killing him only makes it worse. And while this looks like an ultimatum, it's actually pure smokescreen to further crack the network. You see, Epstein knows L is behind this because everything started falling apart the moment L entered the chat. However, Epstein's acquaintances, the powerful
L's in the chat, bro.
men backing him, have a different idea. They are not going to go down with him, especially when they realize they can simply launder their crimes through Epstein. And L knows exactly what they're thinking. In his room, he breaks down how Epstein's only utility to his backers was his ability to operate in the shadows. That utility is now gone. He's become a blindingly bright point of light in a
So basically everybody's gonna try to make him a main villain and dump everything on him, even if he's not Epstein who done that. Kind of makes sense too, because they want to launder their reputation, exactly what he said like a minute ago.
That threatens to engulf them all. And because of that, they won't protect him anymore. They'll make him the scapegoat and hope that his conviction calms the public outcry. And it works.
And they're probably gonna try to like kill him quietly too, you know? So he wouldn't be able to say what was true, what was not, so he wouldn't be able to confess. That's what I also would guess, especially like people from like FBI, CIA, you know, like the powerful structures.
Month of L getting involved, Epstein is convicted, and L doesn't stop there either. Over the next few months, he gradually releases information about the other offenders one by one, and keeps the entire network in a state of
part 3, part 4, so he actually has villain number 1, we fight this guy, the next season we fight this villain, next season we fight this villain, so he doesn't really spread out the focus, so he's a laser focus on like one or few individuals. That's exactly fucking right. That's the right approach. I mean, it's fucking hell what we're talking about.
Terminal paranoia.
Of course,
naturally, once it becomes clear that Denev would keep leaking information, regardless of whether he is dead or alive, the hits start getting called in. Multiple contracts are put out on both L and Denev. This is where one of them seeks out the help of the world's second best detective, Geraldo Coyle. And of course, that is...
Oh, because they try to use the second best to find the first best, but it's also him too. So he can be able to buy some time and put like a false trade or whatever the fuck. Or actually they're gonna try to find information all the people who try to kill him themselves, right? Trying to get the extra info on them and then deal with that too. Damn! You know, those multiple people who've been on the top of detectives world actually paying off now.
Also, L. To create a false sense of security, L uses his Geraldo Coyle persona to stage the deaths of both L and Denev. It creates a massive wave of public...
Or even better, yes, stage the deaths, and then it's gonna be like, gonna be able to say like, oh, I warned you. I warned you if you're gonna kill me, there's gonna be that switch, and then he just... all the information. Or it still keeps coming, they're like, wait, I thought he died. What is his PC like has a fucking I don't know, timer on it or some shit?
Rage. But the people who hired Coyle are satisfied, but they're wrong. As more arrests are made and the power
But yeah, basically still buying the time. I just thought about the different way. I thought he's gonna be like, oh, is going this direction, but it actually goes the other direction. He's still about to buy in the time, yeah.
To the clean counterparts L identified earlier, the old guard begins to lose their grip. Still, many offenders remain untouched because, as a certain student in Japan would say, this world is rotten. And speaking of that student, this is where things peak. About half a year after L visited that island, Light Yagami picks up the Death Note. At this point, the Epstein list is public knowledge. It's the biggest...
He's gonna kill them because he wanted to clear the world from the fucking bad... That actually makes sense! And this is how Light plays into the picture.
Story in the world. So after
Holy
Light tests
shit.
the notebook, he starts writing the names of every offender on that list. He strikes his classic pose, looks out over the city and says to himself, this world is rotten, and those who are making it rot deserve to die. Someone has to do it, so why not me? By the end of 2006, the Epstein network was neutralized. Heart attacks for those who were already on trial. Car accidents, overdoses, apparent suicides. One by one, the names on the list dropped.
So this is how Epstein died, is because of the fucking Death Note. His justice was a little bit late though, but you know.
Dead. Epstein's actual backers, the ones for whom he was doing the blackmailing, watch in frozen terror as everything they've built over decades now dies for no explainable reason. Finally, from an unknown location,
bro, what is this
everything
picture,
they built
bro?
over decades now dies for no
Tel Aviv,
explainable reason. Finally, from an unknown
bro,
location, L watches the news as a reporter announces yet another unexplained heart attack of a high-profile figure. He reaches for a sugar cube as he tries to make sense of it. Someone is cleaning up Epstein's mess with a power that L doesn't understand. This leads us into a version of L versus Light that we've never seen before.
But imagine if L would be like not trying to actually catch this guy, but gonna be like, you know what? They deserve it. They absolutely fucking deserve it, and I'm gonna, whoever that guy is, Light or whatever the fuck, right? Kira, not Light. Let's get him on board with his Death Note and kill the criminals. And then they ruled the world the way nobody has seen before, removing the rot and becoming the rot themselves, to, you know, to contain it with them, with them there too.
Because this time, L may just agree with Light, or should I
exactly
say Kira's reasoning.
Exactly! Because they absolutely... What is this? Brick Bank? What the fuck is this video, bro? Okay, you know what? Unskippable title, unstoppable scroll, watch immovable title, yeah. That title was absolutely diabolical. This is the reason why I watched it in the first place, man. Epstein versus L. Yeah, I thought he was gonna talk like what clues, what L used to crack the case, you know, it's gonna be more lighthearted, but this guy actually like Loki and L himself. You know what? L more like a W. Big fucking W. Hydrogen baby versus coughing bomb, bro. Kira should exist where he could delete the... I can't say he's right, but I mean, he's not exactly wrong, man, right? God damn, you know what, anime addicts? That was an incredible video. Absolute incredible cinema. Like, I just really glad I watched it. I thought it was gonna be really more like funny, ha ha ha, you know, but it actually was epic story, and you know, the world where L and Light, you know, Kira, would control the world with erasing all of the evil would be absolutely fucking good. It would be so badass, man. If only that could happen, you know. If only that could happen. But anyway, thank you for watching this this beast of a video. Check out Anime Addicts, bro. Anime Addicts 33. Why is 33? Is this the 33rd account or something like that? Regardless. Really good guy, watch his other videos, and see you again. Bye.